What's happening, everybody in the VC and my non-VC members, viewers, whatever the hell you want to call it? It's Craig, back with a video. I know what you're thinking. Way too fucking long. Yeah, I know. Regardless, here I am, back with another video. Why this video? Why now? Honestly, it's because I've got a house to myself for a change. That's really about it. I'm gonna spare trying to ramble too much about personal shit and everything else. If you want to know anything that's going on in my personal life, just follow me on Facebook. That's the easiest thing to do. Not gonna waste time here. I've been busy the last couple of years. I can't remember the last time I did a video. Probably at least a year and a half. 2 years? I don't know. Don't know. Doesn't matter. Back with a video. Big shout out to Dwayne Lazarus. Welcome back, bud. Sad to hear about all the, shit you had to go through. But glad to see you back doing videos and just getting the collection back together. So that's good for you, brother. And another shout out to my brother, Mark, Class of Work at Aftermath. He's been doing videos periodically. Glad to see him back at it again. He'll kind of tie into some of what the video I'm doing right now. Been catching back up with him over the last, month or so. That kind of ties in, like I said, to what this video is kind of about. It's inspired by him. But a lot of what I've been listening to lately, just a lot of late 60s, kind of going into the 70s, but not really. Just a lot of what was going on at that time in terms of music. Rock, psych, pop psych stuff, blues, all over the board. So that's kind of sort of what we're going to be seeing. This isn't just a straight vinyl finds video. If I was doing a vinyl finds video, I'd be showing you stuff that I picked up like 5-6 years ago because I was backlogged when I was doing videos regularly back then. If that tells you anything. So this is kind of a vinyl finds. This is a good chunk of it has come in the last 4 or 5 years. Some more recently. Basically, and you'll see it in the title here, this is my Elektra 4000 series so far. Mark ties in because he did a video 6-7 years ago now, and that's kind of how I got inspired back then to start checking out the collection. I had no idea really about what was so special about the Elektra 4000 series other than some of the albums I was familiar with because they were just staples, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a great album. But discovering different artists through there, just stuff I would never normally check out, but it also kind of gave me a direction to work in terms of trying to work on completing a collection. I'm nowhere near complete. I've probably got, not half, maybe a third. Fractions were never my thing. Excuse me. So, this is going to be everything that I have so far. Not all original pressings, some reissues, like late 60s into the 70s reissues mostly. A couple of modern day things. But enough of my babbling. Faintly playing in the background. Grateful Dead. Dick's Picks Volume 13. This is May 6th, 1981, Nassau Coliseum. Don't let anybody tell you that 80s Dead was horrible. It's not. It's just spotty. But this is definitely a good show. Picked this one up last year, I believe. So harder and harder to come across this stuff at a decent price. So try to pick them up when I can on the cheap. Alright, so let's get into the finds. The Elektra 4000 series. I won't comment on every single album because some of these, I'll be honest, have not listened to yet. So, obvious modern day reissue. Starting out with a bang. Love's first album, simply titled Love. Sundazed reissue, which, by the way, if you're not hip to Sundazed, what the hell are you doing? Great, great reissue label. I haven't had one pressing of theirs that has sucked. I think the only thing that the older pressings that kind of irks me is that they used, they had their own custom labels, as faithful as they could to be to the original, but, more of the modern stuff that they've put out has been literally the exact same label with the same record label, all that stuff, and just tiny little print that you see that's Sundazed. So, but it doesn't deter me from the music. Great, great debut. Definitely pre-psych, little elements of psychedelic in there, but this is predating it. So really, this is just a great like garage rock kind of classic. Kind of in the vein of what was going on anyways in music. She had influence of the British invasion, stuff like that. So, but definitely one to seek out. Right, moving on. Getting to David Blue. This one I just recently listened to for the first time, and definitely singer-songwriter vibe, but a little more electrified. Another one of those pre-psych sort of things, but definitely has little elements in there, kind of experimental, but really just as far as singer-songwriter type of stuff, but definitely one to seek out and at least check out some clips if you can, on YouTube and stuff like that. Tim Buckley, self-titled. Great debut. Definitely got more experimental as we'll go on and we'll talk about, but great debut. Like I said, I'm not going to talk too much just because there's a lot to get through. Second album from Love, Da Capo. One of the best one-sided albums ever. I think pretty much everybody could agree on that. But this is a fantastic follow-up, and definitely for my money, probably my favorite. I do love For Sale. Would probably be another one, but we won't get too ahead of ourselves. This gets my money right here for 7 is. Fantastic. Great album. Don't need to talk too much about this one. Doors, self-titled. Another excellent debut. If you're gonna own one Doors album, you don't want to have a greatest hits. That's all you really need. Honestly, you should buy every fucking Doors album because they're all really good. But obviously this one, fantastic. Break On Through, Light My Fire, The End, Backdoor Man. The list goes on and on. It's a great album. Alright, here's where we get some weirdness. The Zodiac Cosmic Sounds. Picked this one up a couple years ago, and it's one of those where I kind of debated on it, because I'm like, am I really going to like this? When I first started sampling things, but as I delved further and further in, I realized, yeah, it'll get more than one listen. And basically you got all the signs, oh god, why am I like, until it's late, I can't even think. But it's basically, there's this really out there experimental spoken word and just instrumental stuff. This is definitely right in there. If you're looking for psychedelic music, definitely check this one out. Not overly expensive. And I can definitely tell I can't talk right now. Moving on, the Incredible String Band, 5,000 Spirits or the Layers of the Onion. Folk, basically, in that British folk type of stuff. You can definitely tell the difference between folk music from America and folk music from overseas, you know, British stuff. This is really good. Not something I'd listen to every day, but, you know, and if it really weren't for the Elektra 4000 series, I probably, honestly, really might not even thought about grabbing this. But still really good. Going into Psych, Clear Light, their one and only album, I believe. Excellent album. And not one to be missed, as far as I'm concerned. You know, if you're into, you know, the stuff that was going on in 66, 67, you know, and rock music in general, this is definitely where it's at. You know, I don't want to keep saying Psych, but there's definitely elements of Psych in here. But, you know, definitely one not to be missed. Judy Collins, Wildflowers. Got our excellent version of both sides now on here. Great stuff. Love, Forever Changes. This is a Rhino reissue from a few years back. I think actually like 2012 or something like that. I don't know if it's on here. Who cares? Considered by many their best. For me, it's good. It's a really good album, but definitely way different from the prior two albums. You can definitely tell there's an influence of stuff like Sgt. Pepper, but not totally. I would say they definitely stood on their own, and this is one that could stand toe to toe with albums like that. It's really good, and I highly suggest at least checking it out. It's really good. Second album from The Doors, Strange Days. Don't need to talk too much about this. We all know about this one. Definitely a good companion piece to the debut, but also you can see them starting to stretch more and doing different things. The Butterfield Blues Band, The Resurrection of Pig Boy Crenshaw. Did not want to mispronounce that. Paul Butterfield, great harp player. You just got great electric blues. And it's from Chicago, so gets my money right there. Earth Opera, their debut, fantastic. You know, kind of a, you know, I don't want to just say straight up like folk rock. More than that, but I mean that's the easiest way to classify it. Great stuff. I actually picked this up at a Goodwill for like $0.25. So you never know what you're gonna find next to your Herb Alpert and Barry Manilow and all kinds of stupid crap. Steve Noonan, great singer-songwriter type. I believe, yes there is. There's some stuff written on here from a young Jackson Browne. So, definitely worth checking out there. Not too hard to come by. Tom Rush, The Circle Game. This one's really good. This one was kind of a... Before I was really collecting the Elektra 4000 series, I just knew this album was worth picking up, and I found it in a dollar bin, and I couldn't pass it up. I was like, oh, I'll grab it. It looks really cool. Let's do it. Great. Just folk, you know, kind of in the vein of like a Phil Oakes or a Bob Dylan type of stuff. Really good. Moving on here, The Doors, Waiting for the Sun. Don't need to talk too much more about The Doors. We all know. Excellent. Tim Buckley, Goodbye and Hello. Fantastic album. That actually, I gotta give a shout out to Bo, Earhead 6. He actually sent me a copy of this years ago, like probably 6-7 years ago. And just, I didn't know what I was grabbing. I was just kind of like, hey, you know, you had an extra, send it my way. Thank you again, brother, because that turned me on to Tim Buckley. One that's not easy to be found, Nico, The Marble Index. This one I found, actually, I was able to get at a really decent price. Not in the best shape, at least cover-wise. The vinyl is actually in pretty good shape. I remember. Let's pull this one out. It's a butterfly label. Yeah. Yeah, not one easy to be found, but I think I only paid like maybe $10 for it, so worth it for me. And highly, you know, kind of experimental. I mean, you gotta have you gotta be in the mood for it, and you gotta have a taste for it too. Next up here, Rhinoceros. These guys definitely, like, just didn't quite make the mark. Put together, basically a studio band, more or less put together. You know, not bad. You know, kind of a sort of rock, soul, you know, kind of in the vein a little bit of like Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Not bad. It's good. David Peel on the Lower East Side, Have a Marijuana. Take it for what it is. It's, you know, basically kind of in a way sort of your man on the street field recording type of thing, but definitely of the times. I think it's still pretty solid. More Incredible String Band, Weetam. I don't have the Big Huge, but I do have Weetam, so I've had that one for a long time still. More British folk. Delaney and Bonnie. Can't remember what the original Delaney and Bonnie. See, some of these this is one that I've had for a while, but just have not actually listened to it. But I do know Delaney and Bonnie. Great kind of southern, you know, predating southern rock. So, but you know, got the blues element and sort of that pre-southern rock type of feel. I mean, you got great players on this. You know, you got Bobby Keys, Jim Price, Bobby Whitlock, Jim Keltner, Carl Rattle. I mean, basically you've got, you know, Derek and the Dominoes, and you know, you got the horn section that would go on to play with the Stones. So, classic we don't have to talk too much about. So Rhino reissue. MC5, Kick Out the Jams. What more needs to be said? But Kick Out the Jams, Mother, Harper. Awesome stuff. Bread's debut. Not the Bread that we would all know for Baby I'ma Want You or whatever the fuck that song is. Great stuff. Do not sleep on this. This is an excellent album. Sorry, I had to readjust. More Tim Buckley here. Happy Sad. You got Tim just going further and further down the experimental hole, taking folk and psychedelic and rock and everything and just throwing elements of jazz and everything else. It's just, it's a trip, man. Love For Sale. Went through, Arthur Lee went through some lineup changes and whatnot, and came back with just a heavy album. This definitely put this up against a Hendrix album, and this is gonna win, as far as I'm concerned. I love Hendrix, but right in the vein with the MC5, we got the Stooges debut, another Rhino reissue. Just a classic album. We're all introduced to the great Iggy Pop, but the Stooges, that's where it's fucking at, man. More from Rhinoceros, Satin Chickens, great album. Tom Paxton. This is Tom Paxton 6. Fantastic folk, you know, singer-songwriter type of deal. Good stuff. Not one to be slept on. The man's overlooked as far as I'm concerned. Krabby Appleton. Self-titled. Yep. Okay. Been a while since I've checked this one out. Good early, what I would say, kind of pop rock. Kind of what you saw in the 70s that would sort of happen with like the Raspberries, you know, bands like that, kind of like, you know, what would go on to influence later on, you know, kind of what you'd see in the later 70s with like Cheap Trick, or, you know, even like a, you know, Big Star kind of was an influence on bands that would come along that would do more of the Trying to really think of how to classify it. What you would see later on in the 70s with, you know, bands like, you know, let's say the Plimsolls or, well, the Flamin' Groovies, but I mean, they were happening in the early 70s, but I mean, you'd see them pop up again in the late 70s and stuff like that. Great, just straight pop rock. Fantastic. More from the great David Peel, The Lower East Side, The American Revolution. Gulliver, with a young Daryl Hall. Fantastic. This one I've been a Hall & Oates fan for my entire life, and I had no idea that Daryl Hall was involved in a band. Well, I mean, I knew he was involved with other bands predating Hall & Oates, but did not know anything about this. So this was a great addition to not only being a Daryl Hall fan, but also just in general, just a solid, you know, late 60s, early 70s, just general rock album. The Stooges, Funhouse, another Rhino reissue. Going more experimental here. Elements of jazz and stuff like that in there, but obviously not the jazz that we all know from, you know, like a Miles Davis or even, you know, all these other, I mean, just your general sort of big names. I mean, this is, you know, if you're like an Ornette Coleman type of guy, just free jazz type stuff, or like elements of Coltrane. There's definitely that feel in there, and I'm sure somebody out there who's into jazz is going, what the hell are you talking about? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And go fuck yourself. Tim Buckley, Lorca. Experimental as all get out. Crazed ass album, but whew, so good. Third album from Rhinoceros, Better Times Are Coming. So, third and final album from them, I believe. So, still in the same vein as everything else. Still great stuff. Brett's second album, On the Waters. Just recently picked this one up. Have not listened to it yet, but if it's anything like the debut, I'm gonna enjoy it. Alright, getting down to the last two, kids. The Doors, 13. Nice early comp. Some interesting choices on here, like, I'd say like Your Lost Little Girl, Land Ho, Wild Child. They're kind of interesting choices for the comp, but definitely ones that kind of sell me on it. And just overall, really good. And then the last one I have in the collection, Don Nix, Living by the Days. So, one that I actually have had in the collection for a long time and have not listened to, so cannot comment there. That does it for the Elektra 4000 series so far. Hopefully add more as time goes on, but we'll start getting into a little bit more of the harder to find stuff or the things that get a little bit more pricey. So, we'll see. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for all my subscribers that have come aboard, even though I'm not doing videos as much or even at all. So, thank you guys. Glad to be back, and stay tuned. Don't know when I'll have the next video, but try to get another video up soon. So, till then, everybody take care, and I'll see you soon.